spiritual courage. In late June of the year 27, Jesus and his 12 apostles left Jerusalem due to increasing resistance from the Jewish leaders. They traveled toward Samaria, and on the way, they were approached by the inhabitants of Arimathea and Tamna with an invitation to stay in their villages. Jesus and his apostles stayed there for more than 2 weeks, teaching the Jews and Samaritans of this region. The people of southern Samaria heard Jesus with joy, and the apostles, with the exception of Judas Iscariot, managed to overcome many of their prejudices against the Samaritans. It was difficult for Judas to love these Samaritans. In the last week of July, they moved on to the Greek cities of Phasaelis and Archelaus. They spent the first half of August in these Greek cities. Here, the apostles had their first experience of preaching to groups of people that consisted almost entirely of Gentiles. A large Greek majority lived here, and many Romans and Syrians also lived there. In their contact with these Roman citizens, the apostles faced new difficulties in proclaiming the message of the coming kingdom, and they faced new objections to Jesus' teachings. At one of the many evening meetings with his apostles, when the 12 told of their negative experiences with the Roman and Greek people they had met in their personal work, Jesus listened attentively to these objections to the gospel of the kingdom. A question asked by Philip was typical of their difficulties. Philip said, "Master, the Romans airily wave away our message, saying that such teaching is only suitable for weaklings and slaves. They claim that their religion is better than our teaching because it inspires the acquisition of a strong, robust, and combative character. They assure us that we want to turn all men into paragons of weakened passivity, who offer no resistance, and when the first storm comes, we will be blown off the face of the earth." The Greeks respond more positively. They even acknowledge outright that your message is heavenly and ideal, but they do not want to take us seriously. They claim that your kingdom is not for this world, that people cannot live as you teach. And what are we to say to these people who see us as unworldly idealists? When Jesus had also heard from the other apostles even more such objections against the gospel, he answered, "I have come into this world to do my Father's will and reveal his loving character to all mankind. This, brothers, is my mission, and this one I will do, regardless of whether my teaching is misunderstood by Jews or Gentiles of the present or of a later generation. But you must not overlook the fact that even divine love has strict disciplinary measures. A father's love for his son often compels him to dissuade his thoughtless children from foolish deeds. The child does not always understand the wise, loving motives behind the father's intruding discipline. But I tell you that my Father in heaven rules this universe by the compelling power of his love. Know that this love is the greatest of all spirit workings. Truth is a liberating revelation, but love is the supreme relationship. And whatever great mistakes your fellow men make in the management of today's world, yet this gospel that I preach to you, in a future age, will rule this same world. The ultimate goal of human progress is the reverent recognition of the fatherhood of God and the loving realization of the brotherhood of men. But who are they to determine that my gospel is meant only for slaves and weaklings? Do you, my chosen apostles, look like weaklings? Did John the Baptist look like a weakling? Do you think I am enslaved by fear? It is true that we also preach the gospel to the poor and oppressed. The religions of this world have neglected the poor and weak, but my Father knows no regard. On top of that, today's poor are the first to heed the call to repentance and accept sonship. The gospel of the kingdom must be preached to all people, Jews and Gentiles, Greeks and Romans, rich and poor, free and slave, young and old, men and women. Do not think, because my Father is a God of love and takes pleasure in showing mercy, that service in the kingdom will be monotonous and easy. Service in the kingdom on earth will require from you all the courage and manliness that you and your associates will be able to muster. Some of you will be put to death because you will remain loyal to this kingdom. It is easy to die on the front line of a physical battle when courage is whipped up by the presence of warring comrades. But it requires a higher, deeper form of human courage and devotion to calmly and all alone give your life for love of a truth that you keep as a precious thing in your mortal heart. The unbelievers may now harangue you for preaching a gospel of nonviolence. But one day, all mankind will look back in amazement at how a small group of volunteers with a holy fire of sincere faith and heroic devotion to the highest truth changed the history of mankind. No army in the world will ever display more courage and bravery than that displayed by the spreaders of the kingdom. The courage of the flesh is the lowest form of bravery. Bravery of thought is a higher form of human courage, but the highest, loftiest bravery is an unwavering allegiance to enlightened convictions regarding deep spiritual realities. Out of such courage consists the heroism of a God-knowing man. This speech of Jesus had a positive impact on the public preaching and pastoral work of the apostles. From that day forward, a new tone of courage and supremacy resounded in their message. The 12 increasingly adopted the spirit of positive militancy for the new gospel of the kingdom. From that day on, they ceased to be so preoccupied with preaching the negative virtues and learned more and more to embrace the passive commandments of their master's multifaceted teaching.